Hi. So I was talking before a little bit about my oldest son and the journey we went through to discover a little bit why he was the way he was. So you throw into the mix of family relationships, every single person in your family adds a new dynamic, and it gets more and more complex. So it's important for us to understand our children and their personalities, but it's also important for us to understand ourselves. And so on this journey of learning about my son, I was also learning about myself. And after giving birth to my third child, a little girl, she wasn't very old, a few months, and I was in the depths of despair, depression, and I didn't know that's what was going on. I just felt so incredibly overwhelmed and hopeless. Seriously, I felt so hopeless, and I just wanted out. I didn't feel like I could handle it anymore, and because of my own background, suicide was not an option. And so in my mind, I would try to figure out what I could do instead to get out. And I would think about, well, some people just disappear. Like, I don't know what they do, but their family doesn't know what happens to them. I was like, maybe I'll just disappear. Just take off, go somewhere. And like, I couldn't figure out what I would do in that situation. And I also know the intense loss. And I had these 3 little kids and my husband. And I knew that it would be incredibly difficult for them if I just disappeared as well. And so then I felt trapped. And it was really hard. So as I went through this process, I got to the point where I felt like I was a horrible parent, a horrible person. And I went to my church leader and I was just like, I am an awful mom. I can't do this. And he's like, well, let's get you some help. Let's take some parenting classes. And I'm going to arrange, let's get you with a therapist. And so he set me up with therapy, like the initial contact. And the first time on the phone talking to the person who became my therapist, as we were talking, the person's like, well, I'm suspecting, based on our conversation, that you are depressed. And I was like, whatever. And he's like, I want you to come in and let's do a survey. Let's talk in person. So then I went in and we did the survey. And I don't remember how many questions there were on the survey, but I remember by the second question, I was so overwhelmed and anxious and I couldn't answer. I was like, well, there's this about it and this about it. And I was just like, I was bawling because it was so intense and so hard just to answer these simple questions on this survey that is supposed to help them understand your emotional state. And I didn't know how to do it. And so we're coming up at third or fourth question, and he says, we don't have to take this anymore. You don't have to do this. You're okay. He says, you are depressed. I need you to go to your doctor, he says, and tell them that you've been with a therapist and we think you're depressed, and they will give you their analysis and stuff. And he says, you need to get on some medicine to help you get to a level of balance. And we need to keep working with the therapy. So we're going to keep doing the therapy. We'll meet every single week, but it probably won't really make a difference until after you've been on the medicine for at least a month. At least you won't feel a difference, but we need to keep doing it to help you at least, I guess, maintain or something. I went away from that appointment and I was so mad. Oh my goodness, I was so mad. I am not depressed, which was probably good because it was like the strongest emotion besides hopelessness that I had felt in a long time. And I think it's because of the intensity of that emotion that that as I was walking away from the session and I was going to go catch the bus, as I was walking and I was feeling so mad, I just had this clear thought and impression from God saying, listen to him and do what he says. And that was really interesting because I hadn't been able to feel that connection to God for a long time. And that was one of the things that was really hard for me. but I think because I had got so mad, it opened up enough for me to have that connection in that moment. I mean, I don't really know, but I'm very grateful for it because I knew God had spoken to me that I needed to listen to him. And so even though I was mad and upset and depressed, I knew I needed to listen to this therapist. So I started working with him.